You got to get up and do work if you want to be anything.
These conversations have been happening in circles like the intellectual dark web and on shows like Joe Rogan, where the biggest podcast in the world routinely rags
podcast in the world
is completely unable to stop the rapid transformation of society and the destruction of our founding fathers and the general who defeated the Confederates.
Dude.
Even though the Joe Rogan podcast has been around for a decade and he's hosted Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro and the Weinstein brothers and Dave Rubin and Crowder, and we've had these conversations over and over and over again. Every single American who is not in that 8% fringe gets on their knees and says, please leave me alone whenever someone comes to them and threatens their job. They will not stand up for themselves. That's what I've been saying about what they need to do. People need to do something. And the first step is telling your boss, shut up or I quit. But they won't. So video games get made that are ridiculous, that have insane plots and insane ideologies. People complain about it. They get called Nazis in the press.
Yep.
And the regular people know it's crazy. They're watching their cities burn down. And then what happens when they rip down Thomas Jefferson? Nothing.
You're right.
And the Democrats in New York City are calling now for Thomas Jefferson to be removed from the New York City Council chamber. And where are our politicians? Where are the regular Americans, the silent majority, to stand up and say, we'll be silent no longer? Nowhere to be found. What are they going to do? They're going to go in the voting booth and say, I'm going to pull the lever for Trump, who in the past 4 years has been unable to stop any of this. We've had a great economy. A lot of people made a lot of money. And what's happened? It's been worse. So here's what I think is going to happen. If Trump wins, the left will go insane and burn it all to the ground, and regular people will hide in their homes with their newly found love of guns, and they'll say, oh no, what do we do? And the left will probably gain tons of ground and go insane, and people will say, please leave me alone. And if Joe Biden wins, they'll take over all our cultural institutions, they'll put psychotic and insane definitions in our dictionary, and they will take over, and regular Americans will say, please, for the love of God, just leave me alone. And they never will. They'll never stop coming. They will take your job away. They will come for your parents. You will do something wrong, they'll fire your mom. They'll come to your house with fireworks and guns, and Americans will still just say, please, just leave me alone. And that's how it is. Even in the Revolutionary War, most people, the largest majority of people, were non-initiated. There was a small faction saying no revolution. There was a larger faction saying revolution. And the bulk said, please just leave me alone. So long as we've been dealing with the psychotic cancel culture, and I've been hearing about people like James Lindsay saying this, and Coleman Hughes saying, I get messages all the time from people saying, this is insane and must stop. Well, where are you to stand up at your job and tell your boss to shut up? When he says, I'm going to put out this bland brand message that panders to these woke lunatics, where are you to say, if you do that, I quit? They say, fine, quit. Okay, I will. And I'll go start my own company. Nowhere to be found. So we have these conversations, and what happens? I'm under threat from being banned every single day. I just had a video today labeled as hate speech. And when I asked them to overturn it, they said, not this one. You're on thin ice. But don't worry, Tim, you mostly play by the rules. We're okay with what you say. So how long until they cut my channel off? And they've been doing it over and over again for the past several years, and people are nowhere to be found. Now, of course, they go online and they'll post things. But then when it comes to their real life job, when it comes to the woke mob coming for them, they just bend the knee and they beg, please, woke lunatics, just don't hurt me and I'll leave you alone. I'll let you have whatever you want because I don't care about the future for my children. I don't care about where this country goes. I don't care about all the statues they've just destroyed. And then what happens? The Republicans, nowhere to be found.
You're absolutely right.
I have no confidence in any of these people to do anything. I can sit here all day and guess what? Smack talk me all day and night. Say, Tim Pool, all you do is complain about things. You're completely right. But at least I quit my job. When I worked for Disney and they said, lie to the public, I said, fuck you. And I told them, cut my contract off. And they said, no. Welcome to the golden handcuffs, Tim. You got one more year under lock and key. And then I said, okay, well, I'm not going to do what you want. And then finally it came to August and I said, bye-bye, I'm going to go do my own thing. And guess what? It worked. So where the fuck is everybody else? Nowhere to fucking be found. Congratulations, we're demonetized. I don't give a shit at this point. No one is doing anything. And for years, I've routinely said, you need to stand up for yourself and tell these people to back off. And you won't do it. Maybe you guys will, but most people won't. So there's people online complaining all day and night. Yep. Okay, walk away. Stop. They won't do it. So why should I have any confidence after a decade of this? I'm willing to walk away and go live in the woods when all this just falls apart. I walked away from working with a Disney company that was offering to pay me fat cash if I just played ball.
Yep.
And I said no. I won't do it. And you know what they did at that company? They called me a white supremacist. The white people at this company who are getting fat cash from Disney called me, the mixed race guy, the white supremacist.
Yep.
And I didn't care. I said, dude, you know what, man, my worst case scenario is I go and skate and mind my own business.
Why do you think so many people want you to get into office? Because it's people like you who see the issue. And even me, like you and I, we've had enough of these conversations to be sick of these kind of people. I agree with everything you said. You're absolutely right. They should be standing up. And if you have an issue with what's going on in our government, get into government. Take over the system. Let's change the system. You know, it's like I am going to remain optimistic. It's just in my nature. So but I agree. I agree with what you're saying. You're right. People aren't standing up. You know, I keep saying like, well, they're going to finally hit those Americans that are going to, you know, show them what's for. Yeah, but it's like, but you got a good point. They're not fighting. These statues are being ripped down.
One guy showed up.
One guy showed up,
Mexico.
and they attacked him, and he shot a person for it. It's like,
and that's bad, and I don't want that to happen.
I don't want anyone to get shot either.
I don't want people to go out and engage in physical conflict.
Absolutely not.
Right now, people need to stand up in their schools, in their jobs, and say no.
Damn straight.
But they won't.